Question number 1. Once diagnosed with Alzheimer's, how often should the person see a doctor so they and the family are aware of progression? There is no one answer to that. It just depends. There is no particular best practice around how often somebody should be seen. You have to think about it. Do they have other medical conditions that need to be checked regularly? Do they have a change of condition? If you're thinking, oh, I should take them every year, you don't want to wait a year if there's a change of condition. You want people to be seen immediately if they have some sort of medical need. Your doctor might have a recommendation based on your own individual circumstance. And it also depends whether you're asking about seeing the specialist or the GP. You don't see your specialist as often as you might see somebody else. So question 1, I didn't have a definitive answer for. It really does depend. And that's because everybody's journey is so individual, so unique. It will depend on how old they are, how much support they have, what kind of dementia they have, where they are in the dementia journey, etc., etc. How do you get somebody with Alzheimer's to change their clothes when they don't think they want to or need to? Oh yes, I relate. So let's think of a few things. One of the things that you might want to do is not try to convince them that they are dirty, smelly, haven't changed for a week, that they need to do anything. When we go in and we try to tell another adult what they need to do, it usually doesn't go down well. And you can appreciate that. You don't want me to tell you what you need to do. You need to take your sweater off. I think it's warm in here, so I think you need to take your sweater off now. Amazingly cooperative. Obviously doesn't have dementia. What happens is we are born. We grow. As we grow, we're sponges to get information and develop our personalities and take on what we need to function in life. And we become adults. And when we're adults, we go along and we go for decades. And then, if dementia happens, we start to decline. And we decline in the opposite order to which we gained our skills. While we were adults on this level part up here, we developed adult sensibilities. And we never lose our adult sensibilities. So when you try to tell a parent or somebody older than you are what they need to do, it usually gets their back up and they usually won't cooperate. If you can find a reason that makes sense to them, they'll buy in. Not because they have to do it, but because, oh, so-and-so's coming, let's get a pretty blouse on for the visit. Oh, we're gonna go to church. Let's get a bath before we go to church. If there's a reason for something. Sometimes, and this works in our house, it's laundry day. No, and here's the picture, I've got to throw the wash in. You need that now, it's laundry day. It's not about their deficits. It's an arbitrary reason. It's an outside reason, so they're not at fault, right? Yeah. So trying something that makes sense to them is often somewhat more useful. How do you get somebody to wash their clothes, especially undergarments? Yeah, this can be difficult, and it depends. Again, this is going to be so individual. There is no one answer. If it's laundry day, sometimes you can get all the stuff. You can have laundry day every other day, right? It doesn't have to be one day a week. You can have laundry day whenever you need it to be laundry day. Depends on if you're living with the person or not. Depends on if you have access to their clothes in their bedrooms. Sometimes there isn't a solution. Sometimes you have to do the best you can. And what we always recommend is that this is where you want to be in touch with the society, get yourself hooked up with our social work team, and brainstorm your individual situation with exactly your circumstances. Because what I do for one of my people is different than what I do for another one of my people, and so on and so on and so forth. So, you know, become a client and take advantage of the services. How do you get somebody who has dementia to eat different food and eat more nutritionally? All right, here's the skinny on this one. If they have always liked sweets, they are still going to like sweets, but more so, because there are changes in the taste buds and the receptors. They can taste the sweet, they tend to lose the ability, and sometimes the bitter taste buds kick in and are more prevalent, unfortunately, and so sweet covers that. People are comfortable with what they've done for a long period of time. They don't like change, they don't like new. I went to an awful lot of trouble to make a very nice lemon dish for my dad. And I had coated the chicken, very lightly dredged the chicken. What is this? And he scraped it all off and took it off the plate. He didn't recognize it. If I try to introduce quinoa, it's not gonna fly. What is this? If I don't recognize it, I may be confused, but I'm not stupid. And I might not choose to eat something that I'm not familiar with, because that could lead to trouble. So often it's a matter of choices. What we do is we put the food out so that what we want the person to have, with knowing their likes. I mean, if they don't like liver, I'm not going to serve liver. If they don't like carrots, I'm not putting carrots on the plate. You have to know what they like and don't like. So you try to find nutritional choices within what they do and don't like. And then we hide nutrition. I am the best nutritional hider you know. I add powdered milk to things. I put all sorts of healthy things in pureed soup. And I make that soup nice and thick so it doesn't come off the spoon while they're eating. I will ask them, it's an experiment, it's a new recipe. You don't have to have it again if you don't like it, but I want you to vote on this. I want your opinion. When you involve somebody's opinion, that's something they can still give you. They might say, ugh, but usually they'll at least try it for you, and sometimes you can introduce some new things. And it's a matter of who's doing the shopping, what have you got in the house. If you try to cut out all treats entirely, it usually backfires. So it's kind of balancing those things. The usual course. For specifically Alzheimer's disease, it tends to start midbrain, go to the front lobes, work its way back, and eventually come to the brain stem at the back of the head. When you start, you often struggle with all of the things that I showed you in the slideshow, but later, as the disease progresses, literally you start to lose control over your involuntary systems as well as your voluntary systems. So that's your heart, your lungs, your digestion, those sorts of things. And so it becomes more and more difficult for you to thrive physically. Even if you are getting a good diet, you're just not working the way you did. Can also be a danger. Can they be a danger to themselves or others? Well, I suppose they could be. I had somebody who just didn't understand traffic. Walked out in traffic, got a broken hip out of that little adventure. So dangerous things can happen. This is where you watch and you see when people are managing. If there's cutlery on the table, we've all got a knife, a spoon, and a fork. If I'm picking up the spoon, which I will not, I'll pick it up, but I'll take it away, you won't eat with this spoon. If I pick up this spoon and I start to brush my hair with the spoon, you know that I no longer understand objects and their uses. So that means you're going to have a smart eye around the house, and you're going to take away the straight razors that are sitting next to the toothbrush. You're going to take the sharp knives and get them in a locked drawer. You're going to get a toolbox with a lock and keep the meds in the toolbox. You're going to start to make the environment safer so that somebody can't mistake one thing for another. It usually happens gradually. Being a danger to others, usually if somebody feels safe and secure, they aren't a danger to others. If you can keep somebody emotionally comfortable, you tend not to have responsive behaviors. When somebody goes to push you away because you're helping them, back off. Don't power through. Let it go. Don't put yourself in a position of getting us back, and don't make them feel so scared that they have to give you a smack to make you stop. So you're always working on how can I keep somebody emotionally comfortable so that I can get them to do this. And backing away is one of the best things. If you get pushback, don't push them, right? What about sundowning? Okay, I know I have 2 minutes. I can do this in 2 minutes. End of day. Sundowning is not the technical term, but it is the common word used for people who function pretty well during the day, but late afternoon and early evening, it seems like the wheels come off. They become more agitated, they're more confused, they're less able to cope. They think that it has to do with possibly the change in lighting as the day decreases. Less lighting means that you see more reflections, and that can be very disconcerting. If I have a dementia and I can't interpret reflections, or I see more shadows and I will misinterpret those shadows. Right now, we're inside, but I'm seeing shadows. So as you two leaning against the wall move, and I see your shadows moving, if I have dementia, I'm actually a little worried for the lady in glasses and the beige sweater, because there's something big and bad behind her, and I'm gonna have to get her out of there because I care about her, and there's a danger to her. That is my misinterpretation. Sundowning can also be that people have simply used up their reserve. It's very hard to live with dementia. You have to figure out all the time, what am I doing, how am I doing it, why am I doing it, and it just uses you up, and you're pretty tired. When I had little ones, we called it the arsenic hour, right? I could not wait for somebody to get home and give me 3 minutes, just 3 minutes upstairs by myself. It's kind of like that in a way, because they don't know what to do, and they're upset, and they're looking for things, and they're frustrated, and you're tired too, and somebody's trying to get supper on the table, and it's a tough time of day. So preventive measures, sometimes an afternoon rest, sometimes setting, if you know they're going to get agitated about 4:30, set them up with something they love at 4:15. Put music on for them. Invite somebody to come. I need you to come and have a little coffee, chin wag with Dad between 4:15 and 5:30 for me. Okay, can you give me an hour? That sort of thing. We have a whole talk on sundowning, so you can come and hear the whole spiel. And moving past fixations. A fixation is a fixed false belief. It's a delusion. You usually have to live through delusions. But this, if you have pens and papers and you want to make a note for yourself, this might be useful. Think of the 3 R's. The first R is to, when you're dealing with delusions, the first R is recognize. You need to recognize the emotions. So they're angry, they're upset, they're scared, they're sad, whatever emotion. Step 1, always reflect back to them by saying it out loud. Say what you're seeing. I can see you're really angry about this. The second R is reassurance. I will check, I will find out, I am here, I love you, I don't know, whatever the right reassurance is. And the next R is redirect. Then try to get them onto another topic, another location, another thing. Don't jump to redirection. You've got to recognize their emotion and do the reassurance for the redirection to work. And I'm sorry I'm out of time.
We are too.
I know. Oh, you're sorry. Oh, I thought you meant you're out of time. Like, that's it, lady. Okay, got it. But we can smell the soup, so we know it's soup time. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for filling in those. I'll come around to the tables and I'll pick them up afterwards. Take your bookmark and read a good book, even if you don't look up Finding Your Way. But I would recommend, if you know somebody with dementia, that you have a look at the website. It's got some really good information on it. Free learning modules, interactive safety booklets, all sorts of stuff. All right.
Any Bernie questions that just need to be asked?
Yes, lady in green.
Not a question, but that movie made me so sad, and my heart just fell that she was alone.
But there are so many people that are alone. Now, one of the things that we have to think about is, because that makes your heart sad, and because there are so many people alone, what do? Are we part of a check-in system? Are we part of a call system? Do we, like, my folks are shut-ins now, according to the church, and they very nicely send them a card every year. Folks, I mean, that's sweet, but seriously? No, that doesn't cut it. You actually have to decide for each individual case, because maybe she had a daughter that comes on the weekends. Maybe she had a son that, you know, brings her groceries, big shop once a month, I don't know. Check each case individually. Okay. Yes?
What is vascular dementia?
What is vascular dementia? What an excellent question. It is a dementia that occurs when there has been a disruption of blood flow to the brain. You can have it from a major stroke, from a series of minor strokes, from cumulative effects of TIAs, transient ischemic attacks, or from any white matter or vessel disease. But when there's a disruption of blood flow to the brain and the cells get damaged, you end up with vascular dementia. I could talk for an hour on that. I'm not going to. That's the short and sweet. Come to the society, hear my talk for an hour on vascular. Oh, you've been so wonderful. Thank you.